Welcome to the STEM Swag Podcast.
I'm Temple Lester, your host. You know me as the girl who created STEM Girl Swag, but I've been plugging people in with STEM since I was 9 years old. This new podcast is all about plugging you in with science communicators, STEM professionals, and science innovators. So if you want to stay connected on STEM, I'm your plug. Today I'm here with somebody part of my generation, someone that's a Gen Z, that's cool, that's a sneakerhead like me. She represents STEM with the M being medical science, goes to the University of Iowa. She is incredible, known from many different things, from the Ellen DeGeneres Show to USA Today. Just an incredible lady overall. Her hair is electric, her smile is magical, and she's inspiring the next generation of leaders to stay curious, learn inside and outside of the classroom, and to make a positive impact in the world. So please welcome Dasia.
What's up?
What's going on?
Nothing much. I'm so excited to be here with you.
I'm so excited to interview you. You have been one of the most influential people, one of the coolest Gen Zers, one of the people who is making STEAM fun for us and for youth, and feeling that we can be different. I know one of my favorite things are just like me, that sneakerhead vibe. So tell me what really got you into STEM?
So I always love that question because I get to talk about my childhood. So I grew up in a single parent household. It's just my mom and I. And in Chicago, that's where I grew up for the first part of my life, you could get like these passes to different places around the city. So you can get passes from the library to go to Shedd Aquarium or to go to the Field Museum. But my favorite was that we would always get passes to go to the Museum of Science and Industry. And I kid you not, that is hands down one of the best museums I've ever been to in my entire life. So like my STEM journey really starts with that core memory and that everything within that museum is hands-on. That's what I love about STEM.
Absolutely. I always shout out my parents because they really fueled my interest in STEM. My dad turned our basement into a science lab for me because I used to go to Toys R Us and buy all these STEM kits. And one thing I used to watch was Project MC Square, and they had STEM kits come out, and I would be the first person to get them. I'd be so excited. That's where I learned my love for science and just have that curiosity to really get me into STEM. But let's get into one of the coolest things about you. You're an inventor from the age that you were 16.
Mm-hmm. That is true. I created color-changing stitches to detect infections, starting as a science fair project. So I was a junior in high school when I started it. And from there, it just started as something to enter into the science fair. I raised my hand in class. I was like, hey, this is something I want to do. And it wasn't until I entered my first competition that I realized that people didn't do like innovations necessarily for science fair. They do something usually research based with like big data or, smaller scale experiments. So I took this new route of invention and it took the world by storm. So I've been working on that project ever since and making it commercially viable for people to actually use. So it's been a crazy journey that I'm still on, but I'd love to talk to you about it.
Yeah. So talking about that invention, What is it for us out there who we heard what you said, but do we understand it? So go into a little bit of that.
That's valid. I explain this to kindergartners all the time. So I got you. So basically, I created stitches that change color when you have an infection. So if you have some younger listeners out there, if you get a cut on your hand that's too deep for a Band-Aid, right, you get the thread to stitch it up real nice. And what happens from there is, the patient goes home and we don't always know if that patient will develop an infection. And by the time we do understand that an infection is there, sometimes it can be too late to where it can be really expensive to cut the stitches out, go into the wound and like do all the things. Or if we're talking in a more dire situation where people in low and middle income countries don't have regular access to medical care, this actually could be very deadly. So for my project in particular, these days, I focus specifically on child bearers who, have children via C-section. And so that is like a really serious situation because infections can happen very quickly. And it's really only a matter of time. So with the stitches that I created, the goal is to detect the infection pretty early, so that way we have a small window for for the wound to be treated with like antibiotics as opposed to an entirely new surgery. You know what I'm saying? So like it's a really cool mechanism that is simple, easy to use, and lets the patient themselves, especially Black women, advocate for themselves within the healthcare industry.
All right, so like you, again, we're so similar. This is why I was so excited for this interview.
Yeah.
STEM kids, science kids, we did science fair. And so I did science fair. I went to state and middle school, to the University of Georgia. I got a cash prize. I walked down there, got my picture taken with my little check.
Yeah.
Here's the picture of me right here at my science fair. I did, I learned about plants growing on Mars, and I put different types of plants into a CO2 environment because carbon dioxide is the atmosphere on Mars. I saw what could we survive off of if we wanted to live up there. And so I found that I think dandelions were really good. They stayed alive. And nothing else really did. So we have to figure out a way for that. And so one thing about science fairs is that you get to go around and you see so many people's things. You see what they're interested in. How did you get into medical sciences from this hands-on in Chicago at the Science Museum?
So that's a good question that a lot of people ask me. And I guarantee you're not ready for the answer, because I didn't have anybody like in my family that's like a doctor or a surgeon or anything like that. That's always the first question. The second question is, oh, well, are your parents engineers of some sort? Like, you know, there has to be some sort of familial connection to this. When in actuality, the reason I decided to do something in medical sciences was because I'm a really big Grey's Anatomy fan. I'm not even gonna lie to you. I love Grey's Anatomy, and I told my teacher that, and she was like, "Oh, okay. Thank you for that comment. What type of research topic do you want to do?" And so I was like, healthcare, because Meredith Grey. So then from there, it was just a matter of time. And as you said, like science fairs are huge all around the country. So one piece of advice that my mentor gave me at the time was go look at, what's going on in the science world around you. And from there, what sparks your interest? So that's really how I got started in my science fair journey, and that's why I chose medical sciences. It's not even deep.
That's so funny. Going into mentors, I think it's really important for people, and especially young girls, to have somebody to look up to, especially for people of color. People think that if they can't see it, they can't be it. So they have to find somebody who is that first and only person to be that kind of inspiration. So what has your mentor really done for you, leading you to where you are?
Oh my gosh, my mentors have done so much. I think a common misconception is that we should only have one. Yes, it's good to have one at all, if that's all you can get. But at the end of the day, it's really, really important to keep growing that mentorship network, so that you have different people for different purposes. But for me, I would say like my first mentor in this entire process was my chemistry teacher. For all of the students out there, you always start with your teachers first. You have the most access to them and direct access to them. And they have this passion to watch you grow, and most teachers are willing to do that at whatever cost. So that's one big thing. But my chemistry teacher, she's phenomenal. She was just willing to help me and teach me the ropes of the science fair game, basically, because it was something I'd never done before. And a really cool thing about your story is that you started in middle school, and a lot of people don't think that's possible. You can really start in elementary school.
That's when I started. Yeah, I started.
Okay, yeah. I started as a junior in high school. So she was just being very patient with me and teaching me, all of the different ins and outs of the science fair, and giving me advice on, how my board should look based on her previous experience. That's what a lot of mentorship is. People giving you advice based on their prior experience.
Yes.
On the other hand, like I said earlier, that network of mentors is really important. So my science teacher, my chemistry teacher was my mentor for the science portion. But at the end of the day, somebody also has to like hold you up and get you through. So that was like a different person I would go to for advice on how to take care of myself. And that was also a teacher. So there's a bunch of different ways to think about it, but I certainly had a mentor every single step of the way.
Yeah. Also, our teachers are one of my like most important things. Each year since kindergarten, I've had my mom, my teacher mom, or my teacher parent that always go to their classroom and be like, "Okay, Tomo, I'll call your mom about this," or "Okay, Tomo, what's going on?" I can go to when I couldn't have access to my mom or couldn't have access to a parent to kind of guide me. One thing that people kind of think is that they have to go find their mentors. Did your mentors find you, or did you go out looking for them?
Both. Both. So most of them happen like just fairly organically where it was simultaneous. But there are a couple relationships that I have with my mentors that were like, I really wanted their perspective in my life. And I knew that they would be super valuable in terms of advice and lessons. Like that's all I wanted. That's all I wanted. And then after that, after we like built this, organic relationship, this mentorship, then like opportunities and stuff came. So for example, like for true story, in high school, I transferred to the high school that I graduated from. And I didn't really know anybody, any administration going in. But in the first 4 months of me being there, a teacher came up to me and was like, "Hey, there's this opportunity tomorrow in front of the whole school. We want you to introduce a member of the Little Rock Nine." Okay. And so over 4 months we had built this she was also a science teacher. She was an earth and space science teacher, my freshman year of high school. And so like that's what I did. Over 4 months we had built this relationship, and then out of nowhere this opportunity came along. And then everybody in the school knew my name. And that's how I caught the eye of the principal of that same high school. Who unfortunately he's not at that school anymore, or else, I would shout him out. But he gave me the opportunity to speak at Harvard my sophomore year of high school, because he saw me speak in front of this whole school, and I did some miscellaneous work in between where I also just kept a communication relationship with him. Like we were when I see him in the hallway, of course, we respect each other, we crack jokes, whatever. But finding a mentor can be as simple as that. Just small, constant interactions with people who you want in your life at some point. So I hope that makes sense, and I hope that reaches somebody.
I really hope that does reach somebody. I know my freshman year, at the end of my freshman year, my teacher mom of that year, she told me that, "Temple, you have all the confidence that I wish I had when I was in high school." And just knowing that me being myself and having a mentor relationship, I also get to influence them and impact them in a special way, which I think is really important, of having a two-way relationship where both of you can impact and learn from each other. But really quickly, let's brag. Let's go back. Let's go back. Let's brag on you and all these incredible things you've done. First off, speaking at Harvard as a sophomore in high school.
Yeah, that was wild. People still don't believe me to this day. I got a Harvard sweatshirt at the gift shop that year, and I still wear it because it still fits, period. And and so people are like, "Oh, did you visit Harvard like during your college process or whatever?" And I was like, "No, I was a guest speaker there a few years ago." And hey, they don't have anything to say after that.
No, I was like, "Oh, yeah." They're real calm and quiet, like, "Oh yeah, I just spoke there once,"
Yeah, don't even worry about it.
You've been featured in many things, from People Magazine, The Ellen Show. You were Iowa's top something for USA Today.
Yes, I was Woman of the Year for USA Today.
You're 18, right?
Now? I'm 20 now. I turned 20 in August. Yep.
20. It's been 5 years when all this occurring. That's a really short amount of time. That's Woman of the Year. That's crazy.
Yes. Yeah. For Iowa, which I'm not sure if you know much about us, but that's certainly a flex to have a Black woman being the Woman of the Year in Iowa. So I'm celebrating that to the cows come home. But yeah.
And another question that like I always get, and I bet you probably got this too a lot in that senior year, is how do you manage being a student in high school plus having all this? I get that so much. Tumble, how do you have time for this? Or you will have to leave school early to go to a Microsoft event and then come back to school. I'm like, yeah, I'm still a student.
And that girl, yeah. No, I get that all the time, and especially because I'm in college now. So like, college is harder. And so like, yeah, I get that all the time from my peers, from my professors. Like, it just never stops. And like, you are also on a journey where like, this is never going to stop for you. Like, you're always making opportunities for yourself. And so like, you are definitely going to get that question a lot more.
I keep my answers prepared. But speaking of college, and college is hard and everything, how is college going for you?
College is gross. I'm not gonna lie. College is gross. I took 2023 off from school, so I had a complete gap year. I do plan on finishing my BS in global health here at the University of Iowa, but it was really important for me to take a step back and like just reevaluate the community work that I do, the med tech, STEM education stuff I do, and being a student and being a person at that. So just had to, set some expectations going forward, and it was like a beautiful process. But I am very excited for returning in the spring. I think it'll be a really good semester. College is really great if that's what you want to do, but I don't know. It's not a pretty process, even for some of the people who have been featured here, there, everywhere. It's just not always pretty.
It's always important to kind of keep yourself and just know what your goals are, how to maintain everything. Going back to earlier, you talked about some of your community work and make sure that gets pushed out more than your own brand is. What is that community work?
So I do a plethora of things. Starting with, I was featured in a book called Goodnight Stories for Rebel Girls, 100 Inspiring Young Changemakers, alongside people like Kiki Palmer, Taylor Swift, Greta Thunberg, just a bunch of women. And so like one of the really big things that I had started last year was a commitment to donate the entire 5-book Goodnight Stories for Rebel Girls series to every single elementary school in the Iowa City Community School District. That's 22 schools, last I checked. 22, because I visited all of them, and made sure that every school who had my copy certainly had a signed copy. So that was a really big project. Moving forward, I'm actually trying to develop a workshop series around the country where I come into different communities and work with different companies and organizations that have a commitment to STEM education, and just try to make an impact in that community as big as possible, and just try to forge new fires in new places. So I do a lot of things, and I'm excited to do more things. One more. I did this event called Dasia Day in Iowa. So for my birthday, because I turned 20 this summer, I threw this like massive STEM birthday party at the Children's Museum. And it was incredible. We had 500 people across 4 hours. Anybody from Pampers to adult diapers, everybody and their mama came. We had tons of government officials come as well, who are just dedicated to our community and again STEM education. So I would also love to take that event on the road, because that was a massive impact.
We're getting to Atlanta.
Oh yeah, we're gonna have to. We definitely have to.
I think the Children's Museum was one of that first kind of hands-on thing for me as a preschooler, going in and being playing stuff and with my friends, and we're doing this, but we're learning stuff while we do it. So Children's Museum are always kind of my favorite places where young kids can explore more about their interests. So please come here to Atlanta. We would love to have you. We'd love to have a Dasia Day. And just getting you down here.
Cheers.
I had a birthday party there once, I think, because my parents, so one thing I always talk about that's really important and I really appreciate my parents for is that they focus on my interests rather than theirs. And my mom would always be like, because she was a cheerleader in high school, she said, if I had pushed Tumble to become a cheerleader, she would have been good, because she becomes good at everything she does because she likes to learn, but she wouldn't have excelled in that. So I really appreciate my parents for putting me in a place where I can excel and where I can be just a temple and be that only person and be a person for people to inspire. Okay, so I want to get into our first game because we're going to play two games. I want to get into our first game. And yeah, all right, it's called Show and Tell.
Ooh, okay.
Yeah. So I'm going to show you a picture and you're going to tell a little bit about it.
Okay.
Let's
get into it. Jinx. Oh, that's such a beautiful picture. That was one of the first photo shoots I'd ever done around STEM. And I brought out all of my awards. Those are the first set of awards I won from any science fair, state and regional. And it was just an awesome experience with a student photographer. And that photo in particular, I believe actually I got that photographer in People magazine. So she was super happy about that.
Yeah.
Because I love uplifting our community as well. And beautiful.
I love that story. It's about bringing my friends with me and those people who have built me from the beginning. When I had my first Microsoft event, partnered with Microsoft, I'm their Atlanta Youth Ambassador. And I had my friends in their building. I had 10 of my closest friends that I know would love to be at Microsoft, and I know that always support me, and they were there, and there's a picture of them being happy. We all went out to dinner, and the smiles on their faces of being proud of me will make me cry. Like, I almost cried. So just having those people there and bringing those people with you to get them to where they need to be in life because they have access to a person who can help push them, and networking is so important.
Yes, 100%. Oh, okay. Okay, so this picture was taken on my phone, selfie mode, obviously, and I was posing with the test tubes. That was because I think NBC Nightly News needed like some sciencey photo of me in the lab, and this was during COVID. Not you showing it again, and so. And so I like whipped out my phone because I was going to work that afternoon anyway. And I took that photo. I'm not very proud of it, obviously, but it exists.
I have a photo of me when I first did my, when I first launched my business, 9 years old, me with a test tube and the like bubbles are touching my nose. I remember there being like a red dot on my nose. I looked like Rudolph for a good day or two. So that picture, I think it's really kind of showing like, oh, you're young back then, but then like also this is what I was doing, and I was featured on NBC. Like, okay,
period. Hey,
all right,
Oh my gosh, this one is amazing. So this was actually because all of my science fairs, aside from the very first small one I did, were virtual because the pandemic hit in March of 2020. So I had recorded this presentation so many times. And I was actually forced to take this photo in particular because my mom was like, okay, now take a picture with your board. And I was so tired because the presentation itself was like 8 minutes and I had done it like 20 times. Like I was not wanting to look at this board for the rest of my life. But there I was. Everything is crooked in there. I didn't do a good job. But I won. But I won. So that's that one. I like this.
All right, I have one more game for you before we leave. It is a game of this or that.
All
right, so I know that you're a sneakerhead like me. So, high tops or low tops?
Oh, high tops.
Absolutely, yes.
Yeah.
I love that. Do a low top. My two favorite shoe brands are Jordans and Converse. I don't like low tops of either of them.
I respect that because same. Yeah, same.
All right, and then I also know that you love music. I have my little record thing up here. So would you rather or listen to rap or R&B?
Oh. I've been trying to find more peace in my life, so I'm gonna say R&B.
And further into that question, who's your favorite artist right now?
Oh, my favorite artist. My favorite artists right now, I have two. They're not new by any means. I'm actually listening to oldies. But don't quote me on that. So Lauryn Hill and Tracy Chapman. Those are my two in the rotation.
R&B. I saw Lauryn Hill earlier this year. She
Love that
at the Strength of a Woman concert in Atlanta, and really, really good. Really, it was great.
Love.
All right, my last question for this or that is: would you rather spend a night in or a night out?
I think I'm gonna have to say a night out. Adventure. Like, I don't know, leaning into experiences. My new mantra since I turned 20 is for the plot, FTP.
Ooh,
so everything is for the plot. And so, yeah, I would choose adventure, a night out against my better judgment.
Yeah, I'm always like YOLO when it's time to, if I'm deciding on something, YOLO, you only live.
That's right. That's right.
All right, now tell me about this video that I'm about to play.
Okay. This is me getting my black card revoked. I'll tell you that. So I was doing some work at the North Museum of Nature and Science in Philly. And again, this was like, I was freshly 20 or whatever. So, for the plot. And there was this live animal room. Scrappy was placed on my arm right here, promptly climbed up my shoulder, and then leaped into my afro. Leaped. Like, there was no sort of hesitation. Like, he just climbed here. I was like, oh, we chilling. That's cool. Nope. Just like jumped in there. I also held a python on that trip in that same room. And that was actually one of my favorites. I really enjoyed that experience. I can't say that though the Scrappy hair experience was fun and entertaining, I can't say that I enjoyed that.
Yeah, that was definitely for the plot. I don't know if I could have done that. Did you start freaking out when you felt start crawling? I know if I had my curls in and they're already tangled up a little bit, and I felt that get in there, I would start hollering.
I'm not gonna lie to you. I don't know. I didn't know how he was gonna get out, but he was making tunnels. I didn't feel him on my scalp because there was still a lot of room between where he was and my scalp. So it just felt like something was moving in there, but there wasn't super, his claws or anything weren't getting into my scalp or anything like that.
I know when I first saw the video, I immediately sent it to my mom. I was like, shocked.
Yeah, me and Scrappy, we go together. We go together after
real bad.
Real bad. Yeah.
God, oh my God, that's definitely an experience to remember. I'm so happy that was recorded. Mm-hmm. Because I don't know if somebody would have believed you if you just told them
that. For real. My mother. Thank you to my mom.
All right, Dasia, before we go on this incredible interview, there's one thing that I get all my guests to say, because I'm STEM Girl Swag and you are definitely STEM Girl Swag. So can you please say STEM Girl Swag?
For sure. STEM Girl Swag.
Hey. All right, Dasia, please tell everybody where to find you to contact you if they want to learn more about what's going on in your head, about what's going on in college, or about science, or just anything to contact you about. Tell them where to find you.
Absolutely. Catch me on IG at TheHeadNerd, or LinkedIn if that's where you be at. Dasia Taylor, but I'm anywhere and everywhere. So reach out to me wherever.
Thank you so much for joining the STEM Plug podcast. So happy that I got to plug you in with everybody watching.
Thank you. I appreciate you. And you keep going on your journey. I'm so, so proud of you, girl.
Thank you. All right, everybody, you know where to stay connected with me. Subscribe, like, and comment down if you loved Dasia's interview. If you liked all this Gen Z STEM energy going on, you know where to find me on Instagram at JustTemple.